What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to have you here today. This is going to be New Comic Book Day, May the 19th of 2021. This is a pretty long list, and I can't promise that I'm actually going to be able to pick up all of these books, but I'm definitely going to take you through all the books and stories that I'm excited for this week. But before I ramble too long, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, connect, do whatever you do on the platform you're on. Just look for my furry face inside of an orange circle and click all the buttons next to it. So I organized these. It's going to be DC at the top, and then we'll go through the everything else, which is mostly just indies, no Marvel this week, I don't think. But then I also stacked them in order of excitement. So I think you'll probably follow along easily, but I think there might be some surprises in here too. So the first book on my list is The Flash 770. This is continuing that Flash story that has picked up after Future State. And honestly, the more I think about it, the less I like it. I enjoyed a lot of elements of the Future State Flash book, but that by no means is a blanket pardon for some of the things in there either. And so for me, I still have to say I think Future State Flash was better than the Flash we're currently getting. It just feels like like Three Stooges or something. Like, it's real goofy. Wally has no agency of his own. This is somebody who sat in the Morbius chair and has almost dissolved into the Speed Force. He's had to give up his physical existence to fight alongside gods. I mean, Wally should be more than capable of handling things in his own way. Barry is going to apply science, and he's going to get the job done with science, and that's what we see him doing with Mr. Terrific and Green Arrow, and that part's pretty cool. But the stuff with Wally, this is somebody who has fought next to gods, and now he's just like kind of always confused and discombobulated, and I don't know, like, it just doesn't play well with me. I understand why other people would like it, and I'm not trying to trash the whole book, but for me personally, this book just is not what I want. And I'm hoping, I think this first story arc wraps up in June or July, something like that. I'm hoping at that point they kind of like stabilize the book, and I really don't care if they go with Barry or Wally for the Flash title. Like, either character is fine by me. Just pick one and pick a tone and let me know if I should be in or out, is kind of where I'm at on this. So I'm enjoying what I'm seeing out of the Barry stuff. I do believe that he should go on the back burner. I like him better than Wally, but put him on the back burner. Let me miss him so that I'll want him to come back and I'll want to read his adventures. But at the same time, like, stabilize Wally. Get him to a point where he can lead the book, because right now I'm afraid that he would just give up on us, and I don't know. It is what it is. That's how I'm feeling about The Flash right now. I'm going to continue to pick it up for a little bit, but it's easily at the bottom of my reading pile at this point. Justice League 61. This one, I've enjoyed the Brian Michael Bendis story with Naomi and Shazam. It's good. It's not bad. I don't really have any complaints. I wish that I'm complaining about me now. I wish that I had read the Naomi miniseries so I would kind of understand her a little better, because I feel like he's taking us into her character a little bit in the deep end. I wish I knew more, and that's on me. I should have read the miniseries. I know I probably still could just pull it up on Comixology or something and read it. So that's on me. I'm not complaining about Bendis here, but it does feel a little bit in the deep end of her character. And Shazam on the team, like, the way that, it's not him being on the team, it's the way they insert him in the team, where Superman was basically just this wall of, like, I'm Superman and I said it, so you're going to do it kind of thing. I found that a little bit annoying, and ham-fisted, I guess. But overall, like, the story's fine. I'm not complaining about the book, I think it's cool stuff. But really what I'm excited for it about is the back half with Ram V writing this Justice League Dark. And that's been an incredible story. I love the Justice League Dark stuff in the back. We know that Merlin's coming back. And we know, like, all the wizardry and everything that's going on, like powerful magic, they're setting up this. It's almost like who will not be named or whatever. In the sense that it's like building this tension of like how bad is this dude, and like everybody's concerned that he's coming back, and I'm excited to see what happens when we really get to that point. But so far, the way that Ron V's kind of like slow rolling his introduction and giving us these very powerful imagery that they're showing us for him is very awe-inspiring in a lot of ways. And so it's really making him up to be like this big bad. And so my only concern is that they can't deliver on the fight when we get to that point. But for now, the way that it's all building, it's kind of a thriller, if you ask me. I'm really enjoying that. Wonder Girl #1. This is going to be out. This is Joelle Jones on writing and art. And then I think colors and letters are handled by somebody else. Joelle Jones did Wonder Woman Future State with Yara Flor. One of my, definitely a character I really fell in love with in Future State when she was introduced. And I'm excited to see what happens with her in the Wonder Girl series here, now that we're in the DC main continuity. And how she's going to interact with, like how... I want to know more about her. I want to know more about her world and the world of the Brazilian gods and all that stuff. At the same time, I'm interested to see how she interacts with the DC universe as a whole. So, really excited for Wonder Girl. That's, that's going to be a solid series, I think. Nightwing #80. This is the series that Tom Taylor took over with 78. It's been absolutely awesome. I think most people that hadn't already got on board that I know of now are caught up and on board. I believe even Mark went and grabbed 78 and 79 and is current. So I hope to see Nightwing on his new comic book day video and hear him talk a little bit about it and tell us, what he thinks and, how he enjoyed those first two. Because I think this has been a really solid series since Tom Taylor took it over. Catwoman #31. Now this is my top DC pick. If we're going to separate days, Catwoman 31 is top of the pile on DC for sure. I loved number 30. 29 was cool, but that was also like a return from hiatus kind of book, and so like let's get everything up to speed. I'm sure a lot of people jumped on like myself at that point. So that one felt like, it was kind of resetting the chessboard per se. And, but number 30 just brought it. Like, I look at these characters and these aliases as different people, right? So in Catwoman number 30, it starts with the Riddler, with Nigma, and it ends with Poison Ivy at a party. And then in between there, it tells us the story of what Selina Kyle is doing and her state of mind after all the stuff with Bruce Wayne. It also tells us about the Queen of Alleytown and the things that she's going through as kind of an adoptive mother to all the runaways and everything that's living in Alleytown. And then you also have Catwoman that has all this stuff going on with the city and with her connection to the underworld and how things are playing out there. So you've got those three stories out of one character alone. Then you also have Cobblepot with Preacher Valley. That's a whole nother thing that's going on. Like, there was a lot that happened in book number 30. And I love the way that we saw Selina as like the Queen of Alleytown. And then from there you kind of get this flow into this scene where she goes from, dressing to go out in the streets to dressing into Catwoman. And in that transitional moment, as she's explaining all the things that are going on in her head from all these different perspectives of her life, while she's doing that, she's changing clothes, and so she's getting very vulnerable as she's explaining her vulnerabilities. But then at the end of that scene, like, she pops out the window and you see Catwoman dance across the skyline, and you know that she's protected and she's armored up and she's ready to take her city back. And it's just a really great issue. It's so well paced. I love how things move through and then we kind of like slowed down for this one scene and really got a raw character moment out of her. And then we broke from there and we went straight back into the action. And we got a hint of a new character at the end there. Issue 29 had introduced a new villain, kind of teased it. And then we also have this this preacher over here with Cobblepot And he beat Cobblepot down and took his umbrella and popped it open. And he said, he told him, until next time, Mr. Cobblepot, I would beware of the storm. And walks off in the rain with Cobblepot's umbrella. So I'm really excited to see where things start to pop off from here. At the end of that book, we saw Selena Kyle get into basically a fancy dinner party where we know that Poison Ivy is being held, and that's kind of what Selena is after right now. She's trying to save Ivy. So I'm excited to see how this all plays out. Ron V is absolutely killing it this week, last week, every single week anymore. Home number 2 from Image Comics. This is a book that I anticipated really just being absolutely enamored with, and maybe it was because of my own anticipation. Maybe my complaints are true, but this book just did not quite connect the way that I wanted it to. I think the topic and the subject that it's tackling is really interesting and needs to be brought to light, and I think this is a great format to express that. I just don't know if the twist at the end there is something that really appeals to me personally for this type of story. And, I thought the dialogue and some of the characters were a little bit weird. So for me, this is bottom of the list, but it made the list, and that does mean something. So home number 2, I'm excited to check it out, but I don't know how much I'm actually going to love this story until it's all said and done, I would say. Redshift number 1, this is from Scout Comics, and I recently spoke with HS Tech and had a great conversation with him about Redshift. He sent me a physical copy of the Ash Can, so that was really cool of him, and I got to read the full issue of number 1 digitally, and I did a review of that, so definitely check that out. And hopefully the interview, if it's not already out, I'll have it out soon, and I'll be linking that as well. But HS Tech, really great guy. I enjoyed Redshift number 1, and I'm excited to see where the series continues to go. Like I said, you can check out the review and you can see what I mean when I say I really liked it, and the reasons that I thought it was a great book and a solid number 1 that everybody should pick up. Radiant Black number 4. This is from Image Comics. It's Kyle Higgins, who most of us know from Power Rangers, and then he's also worked on plenty of other things. I don't want to pigeonhole the guy, but he definitely hit a lot of people's radar for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. And this series so far, this is the 4th issue. It's been solid. I feel like it's gotten a little bit better with every issue. However, there are some ups and downs to it, some ebbs and flows that I think your mileage may vary. It feels like some people are kind of starting to feel a little lackluster about this, and some people are still holding pretty strong. I really don't see anybody liking this series any more now than they did from the beginning, but I may be completely wrong on that. However, they have been teasing in the covers and some of the variant covers and stuff, they've been teasing a Megazord, and I think that's going to be pretty interesting. And I believe that Kyle also mentioned in his newsletter that issue 4 is going to really dig into Radiant Red and the connection and relationship between Radiant Red and Radiant Black. And so that could kind of make the world a little more interesting place. Overall, I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's pretty solid. I'm definitely excited to see what happens in issue number 4. Number 3 was a little bit slower issue, but we got to also see him be like a neighborhood hero, and I think that's something that's really cool because it's missing so much from comics anymore. Everything's got to be so big and cosmic and spacefaring, and it's always nice to see something like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, or this previous issue of Radiant Black where they stick a little more to the neighborhood. Power Rangers number 7. I mean, this is a series that was launched off the back of Kyle Higgins that we were just talking about for Radiant Black. This series I've really loved. Full disclosure, I have read Mighty Morphin number 7 that'll be out tomorrow, and I enjoyed it, but it does have some weird characterizations. However, Power Rangers number 7 that will be out on May the 19th is a great series, and I really enjoyed the preview issue of number 7. It really just keeps evolving and moving away from what not what Power Rangers is, but like the feel of Power Rangers, and it's really becoming its own thing. And I personally really like what it's becoming. It's digging more into like sci-fi and some other subgenres and stuff, and kind of mixing things up and building its own little universe that I'm really excited to see more of. And I would love to see other people play in this space, and I would really like to see this become what comic book Power Rangers is. If you really like Mighty Morphin, it still feels like the old stuff, so don't get me wrong, but I really enjoyed, like, to me, Go-Go was such a good Power Rangers run because it felt just slightly different from the TV show, and I really loved that about it. And now that we're on Power Rangers and we've kind of taken, they're starting to do a lot of callbacks to the Go-Go series, which makes me feel like this is more or less the spiritual successor of that run. And so I'm just really enjoying Power Rangers at this point, and whatever happens in Mighty Morphin, I'm fine with that. I will probably continue to read both series, but Power Rangers has really got my full investment at this point. So check out Power Rangers number 7. This was a solid issue. I really like where that's headed. The Other Side of Eden number 3. This is Aftershock Comics. I go on and on and on and on about this series sometimes, but I absolutely love it. The first series was 5 issues. It was Undone by Blood, Shadow of a Wanted Man, and it was so cool. I really loved it. I fell in love with the characters immediately. And then this is the sequel series, Undone by Blood, The Other Side of Eden. And this series, you know, the first 2 issues were a lot more fast-paced than the original series. They really hit the ground running. They're not having to introduce you to Solomon in this issue, or in this series, so they can really just dive straight into the characters and stuff. And so as they're introducing a new character, they kind of parallel Solomon's story, and therefore you naturally kind of start to understand where both of these characters are coming from. The storytelling for this is very unique, and it works very well in a comic. And actually, we're kind of seeing something similar to this in Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix right now. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see if they follow that same kind of format as Netflix, or if they're going to change up the story and do something completely different with it. Who knows? But I'm excited for whatever becomes of it, because Undone by Blood has just been a solid 8 issues at this point. The Many Deaths of LAILA STARR number 2. This is from Boom Studios. This is another Rom V book, so of course it's going to rank pretty high in my anticipation. I'm really excited for this one. I thought the first one was a lot of fun. It's you know, it had some good surprises and stuff to it, but what really blew me away was how much fun it was to move through the story. There was a lot of things about it that really reminded me and felt a lot like Joelle Jones' run on Wonder Woman for Future State with Yara Flor. But that's a good thing, because I really enjoyed that book. I'm really excited for that character. Wonder Girl issue number 1 will be out this week, so, you know, obviously that's exciting. And I'm excited for what LAILA STARR 2 is going to bring to the table. So don't sleep on it. The Many Deaths of LAILA STARR, great start out the gates, and number 2 is probably going to be just as good. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 6. I kind of forgot that this was coming. Not that I forgot about this series, because I was actually just looking at the collected edition at the store the other day, and was strongly considering getting it, because I really enjoyed all 5 issues of that story. I love all the twists and turns and all the mythos and lore and everything else that was going into it. And I thought it had a great ending. And so I'm excited to see where number 6 picks up. This is going to be the beginning of the second story arc. This is definitely more compressed storytelling. And that first collection of 5 issues was called Book 1, The Seeker. And so I'm excited to see what Book 2 and what this next story arc is going to be all about. But at the end of the day, super excited. Al Ewing is great on this. I love Simone Di Meo's art and the evolution of his craft and the unique things he's doing for, you know, digital art in comic books right now. Ultramega number 3. This is from Skybound Image, and it's James Harren. Dave Stewart on the colors. This book is amazing. It really wasn't even something I was paying much attention to, And then when the first one dropped, it got really hype, and so I went ahead and grabbed it, and it blew me away. I was amazed. It's an oversized book. I know this one's 60 pages. I don't remember how many pages were in the others. Probably similar. Like, these are some massive books. They're going for, I think, $8 a piece. But they're definitely worth it. The value is completely there. And if there was ever a book that I've read that I thought was worth the cost, this is it. The first book I was surprised by, and I really loved it. And I mean, I couldn't help but think, like, it's going to be really tough to follow this. Like, this series started out on a really strong note. And then we got the second one, and it was actually better. I'm still floored by what happened in Ultramega 2. I just read it again the other day, and I was like, just sitting there, like, I cannot believe all of this fit into one book, and that it all looks this amazing, and how well it all turned out. So, Ultramega number 3 is definitely on my list, and very high on anticipation, because I cannot wait for this book. It's going to be so good. So, that's the list for this week. To pick 3 books out of here, I mean, it's obvious. Ultramega 3 is really high on that list. So Ultramega 3 is probably my number 1. Catwoman 31 is number 2. And I'm really excited for Wonder Girl to see how that story sets up what we learned about her in Future State. So that's 2 DC books alone, you know. But yeah, it's tough to pick just 3. That's the full list, though. Let me know what you think. What books are you excited for? Let me know in the comments, you know, your thoughts on any of these books, what you're excited for, what you're going to be reading this week, and what title am I missing out on that would absolutely blow me away. So that's all I have for you this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. You can follow me on Patreon for free and get all the free information that I put out through there. If you could, check out podchaser.com and look for Cosmic Campfire. You can rate and review all of my content there. I would absolutely love it if you did. And then the last place is League of Comic Geeks. That's where I pull my information from. And that's where I post all of my comic book reviews, and comic book stuff in general happens there. So check out that website and make an account and follow me. And that way you can see everything that I'm looking forward to. That's all I have for you today. Until next time, keep flipping pages.
You